What if the peace you have been desperately searching for is not found in changing your situation, but in changing your focus? Most people dealing with anxiety are praying for their circumstances to change. A different job, a better diagnosis, a resolved conflict, more money in the bank. And while they wait for things to change outside, they are falling apart inside. But Philippians 4 reveals something that completely shifts that thinking. The cure for anxiety is not a better situation. It is a better anchor. And the man who wrote this was not sitting in comfort when he figured it out. Paul wrote Philippians from prison, chained to Roman guards, facing possible execution. If anyone had a reason to spiral into anxiety, it was him. Yet somehow, from that cell, he wrote the most peace-filled letter in the entire New Testament, which means what he discovered was not theory. It was tested in one of the hardest situations imaginable. And it is available to you right now. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." Most people read that and feel guilty. Do not be anxious about anything. Sounds impossible when your mind is already racing at 2 a.m. and your bills are piling up and your health is uncertain and your relationships are falling apart. But here is what most people miss. Paul did not just give a command, he gave a replacement strategy. Anxiety thrives on internal conversations where you replay the scenario, imagine the worst, and argue with yourself inside your own head. Paul says, stop talking to yourself about it and start talking to God about it. The shift is not from worrying to pretending everything is fine. The shift is from an internal conversation with your fears to an honest conversation with your Father. Then Paul adds something that surprises most people, with thanksgiving. Why thanksgiving before the answer even comes? Because thanksgiving forces a shift in focus. When you thank God before the breakthrough, you are no longer staring at what could go wrong. You are remembering what God has already done. You are remembering past faithfulness, previous deliverance, prayers He already answered that you have already forgotten about. Gratitude interrupts panic the same way switching a channel interrupts a bad program. You are not denying the problem. You are refusing to let the problem be the only thing playing in your mind. Here is what that prayer produces. Philippians 4:7 says, "The peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That word guard is military language. Paul was literally surrounded by Roman soldiers, so he uses a picture he could see every day. Imagine soldiers standing at the gates of a city, refusing to let the enemy in. That is what God's peace does for your heart and mind when you bring everything to Him in prayer. Anxiety stands outside saying, what if, what if, what if? And peace stands at the gate saying, God is in control, God is faithful, God has not left. Surpasses all understanding does not mean peace ignores reality. It means peace does not need reality to make sense before it shows up. Sometimes nothing changes around you, but something changes within you. The situation is still hard. The outcome is still uncertain, but somehow you feel steady. That is not personality. That is not positive thinking. That is the peace of God standing guard at the door of your heart. But Paul does not stop at prayer. In Philippians 4:8 he says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, think about these things. This is where most anxiety sufferers get stuck. They pray and then immediately go right back to catastrophic thinking. Paul is saying, prayer is not enough if you keep feeding your mind the same anxious thoughts afterward. Anxiety is not just emotional, it is mental. It feeds on imaginary scenarios, worst-case assumptions, and fears about a future that has not even happened yet. Your thoughts are not neutral. They shape your peace or destroy it. Think of your mind like a garden. Whatever you water grows. If you water fear, fear grows stronger. If you water truth, faith grows stronger. Jesus said in Matthew 6:34, "Do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself." Anxiety always drags you into a future that does not exist yet. Faith anchors you in the present where God actually is right now. Paul closes this section with one of the most powerful statements in the entire Bible. In Philippians 4:11-13, he says, "I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. I have learned the secret, and I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." Most people quote that last verse as motivation for achieving big goals, but in context, Paul is talking about endurance in hardship. He is saying, I can handle lack and I can handle abundance. I can face uncertainty and I can face suffering. Not because I am naturally strong, but because Christ is my strength. Anxiety at its core grows from the belief that I cannot handle what is coming. Paul's answer cuts straight through that. You are right. Alone you cannot handle it. But through Christ, you can handle anything that comes. Anxiety may keep knocking at your door, but it does not have to live in your house. Replace anxiety with prayer. Add thanksgiving before the breakthrough. Trust God's peace to stand guard over your heart. Discipline your thoughts toward what is true, not imagined, and anchor your strength in Christ, not in your own ability to hold everything together. Philippians does not promise a stress-free life. It promises something better. A Christ-centered peace that holds even when everything around you is falling apart.